Okay, everybody, here we go. Ready to finish up the type tool lesson. So let's get started right away. Let's go to File, Open. To get to the image, you're going to go to Courses, Art, Computer Graphic Lessons, Photoshop Lessons. We are in the typography lesson, and you're going to open up the file called Fish and Type. Today what you're going to learn is how to type on a path, and you're going to learn how to rasterize type to do some more interesting effects. This is a little bit more fun. I want you to have a lot of fun. I want you to play. I want you to stop the video frequently to try these different tasks. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the easiest type on path. Let's save this first in our lessons folder before we forget to do that. So computer, our folder, computer graphics, lessons, and let's call this type tool lesson 2. Oops, I got 2 L's in there. Type tool lesson 2. Okay. In order to type on a path, you have to create a selection. You have to make a selection. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab just the rectangle marquee tool. We're going to do a small type on path first. So click and drag a rectangular selection in this bottom left-hand corner. You might want to double check to make sure you don't have a feather. I want you to grab your type tool. Let's set our type to 24. Don't care what font, don't care what color, but I do want you to make sure you have left alignment. So this button here, so please set that now. And then we need to open up a new panel today. That panel is called the Paths panel. So let's go to Window Paths. Once you have your selection, and you have to have a selection first, you're going to click on this drop-down menu and you're going to go to Make Work Path. Click this, just click OK. And then you're going to notice that your marching ants turns to a solid gray line. That indicates that there is an invisible path there that the computer wants to do something on. Okay, just like a path through a forest, there's a path there that it can follow. With our type tool, if we get our cursor close to any part of that path, the cursor is going to change, and that's going to tell us that it's going to start typing along that path. I want you to click in the top left-hand corner, and I want you to type 5 or 6 words. Type it so type a full sentence at least. And then when you're done, I want you to hit that Commit to Current Edits button. You can still make changes. So first of all, when you do that, notice that gray box disappears. Remember I said it's an invisible line. It's not really there. So it does not print, it doesn't show, but now we see that the type is flowing along the path. Now I can see that there's some weird overlap in my letters. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reset my characters. So in my character panel, if it's not open, go to Window, Open Character, and I'm going to reset this. Okay. It may go back to that size 12 font. Don't worry, you can change that here. Just make it to where you can see it, somewhere between 24 and probably 30 something, depending on how much you typed. You can still change all of your tracking and things in here if you want to, so you can change the spacing of your letters. You can change your size. I can still change my font. I can change the colors, however I want to do that. Okay. I want to show you how to change where the starting and stopping is on it. The easiest way is to simply try to change your alignment. So mine is left aligned. I can also click center, and then I can click right, and I can see how that affects it. If that's still not working, click back on left aligned. I'm going to show you that you can alter that path. So in your paths panel, you should have a path that is titled whatever you type. So I want you to click on that. When you do, it's going to bring the box back. We're going to grab a new tool here. We're going to grab something called the Direct Selection tool. This is in your toolbox. It looks a lot like the Move tool, but it's slightly different. And what this does is it deals with paths. It changes where things start and stop. And if you come over to your line, and this is a little tricky, you have to get right on it. You'll notice when you click or hover, I'm just hovering right at the start of my line, I get this weird arrow. What that's telling me is I can shift my starting. So that's where I clicked at, but if I click and drag, I can move the starting point a little bit further. I can also pull it back. When I pull that, you'll also notice there's another line that kind of appeared the other direction, and I can shift my end point as well if I wanted to. If I click on the line itself with this tool, I can change the shape and curve of the line. I can grab these points. So go ahead and try that now. Go ahead and try to distort that just a little bit. Change the starting and stopping point if you want to. And then when you're done, I want you to click in the gray space below that path and the paths panel to deactivate the path. Do that now. Okay, we're going to move on. It's a good decision when you're moving on and you're going to add a new work path or type on path that you turn off all of your other type paths, because the computer does like to grab onto old paths. It's just kind of a, I don't know, a glitch in Photoshop. So turn that off. I'm going to show you a new way to do this. So we're going to do a simple open path. I want you to grab the pen tool. This is above that tool, because notice these all kind of work together. That's why they're grouped together. If I grab that pen tool, the pen tool sets points for a path, just like connect the dots. So all you do is you're going to click somewhere here to the left of the fish, and we're going to go at a diagonal. So I'm going to go down, I'm going to click, and I'm going to go up one more time, and I'm going to click. So I have a zigzag. I need to close this path. The way to close a path is simply to double click, click, click on that tool. Notice those little anchor points, then delete. If I grab my type tool now and I hover, notice it indicates, hey, there's a path there. I can click on it, and again, I can type. Please do that now. And then in your paths panel, deactivate the path. And there's your new path. All right, let's turn the visibility off on that one. I'm going to show you a complex path. This is a little bit more fun. So you can make any kind of a selection. So you could make a selection around the fish, either by using a mask or the lasso tools. I saved us the time. I saved a selection in here already. So let's go to Select, Load Selection. And in here, when you do this, you're going to notice whatever the last path was I created, the saved path, it will show up in there. So that type path that I have over here is showing up there. But I want you to click on the one that says fish and click OK. So I had already made this selection for you to save time. You would have to do it manually. You'd make it with whatever method you want. And then how do you do this again? How do you turn this into a path? Well, quite simply. Go to your Paths panel again. This is Review. Click the drop-down menu and go to Make Work Path. Click OK to this. With your type tool, let's probably take that down a little bit. You can start anywhere you want on the fish. I'm going to start here. Why not? Remember, your alignment dictates, so if I'm left aligned, it's going to start flowing this way. If it's center aligned, it's going to flow out from this point, and if it's right aligned, it's going to push it this way. I'm going to do center line so you can see what that looks like. So it pushes it to wherever the center of the path is, so it's going to flow outward. And then hit that Commit to Current Edits. Go ahead and change your font size. Make it bigger or smaller. Change your color if you want. And I'm going to kind of show you what happens when you have a super complex path. So you can change your color. When you have a super complex path like this, which this is really complex, the fish goes in and out a lot, you get this. You get what looks like jumbled up word letter soup. But it is an option, and sometimes your paths aren't quite this complex. So go ahead and do that now. And let's go to File, Save. Okay, turn this type tool off. Now we're going to go into rasterizing type. That's type on path. That's pretty much all you'll need to know. You either create a path from scratch or you make a selection, turn it into a path. Pretty simple to do. The next one is basic type tool stuff. So let's start by resetting our character panel, and then you can close it if you want to. Grab your type tool. Let's put our font really nice and big today, size 60. Let's leave it set at black for now, and I want you to simply click in the top corner or somewhere up top, and I want you to put your name. And hit that Commit to Current Edits button. If you need to move it like I do, grab your Move tool and simply move it. Before we start rasterizing it, I want to change my font. Now, once you rasterize, you can't change your font anymore. You can't change your color. You can't use, in fact, you cannot use this options bar at all because you've rasterized. It's no longer a type layer. This is how we know it's a type layer because there's a T there. Okay, that's what that means. So let's change our font. I want you to pick a relatively thick font. I want it to be nice and thick because what we're going to do to this requires that I have some space in my letters. I'm going to go to drop down because there we go. And I'm going to make mine even a little bit bigger yet. You want this nice and big. It's going to make it easier for you today. And then once you're happy with it, here's how you rasterize your type layer. You right click and go to rasterize type. Remember, right click is simply a shortcut for that drop down menu, but right click, go to rasterize type. Look what happens. That T is no longer there, and now instead it's a little thumbnail of the text itself. So if I grab that type tool, it won't even let me highlight. If I do, it's just going to create a new type letter, so don't try that. All right, so now we've got this as, it's just pixels. So I'm going to turn off my background layer. Let's do that. And I want to select all of my letters. The easiest way to do that is I'm going to go to select color range because it's going to select by the color. It's all one color, so I'm going to click anywhere on the letter. It should select all the black pixels. Click OK. Now I have a selection on my text. Do that now. Okay, now I can edit it in any way I want with any of the painting and editing tools. We're going to grab the paintbrush tool. I'm going to change my color. Pick whatever color you want. You can change and make this a funky shaped brush. So I'm going to go to assorted brushes. I'm going to pick a star. I'm even going to put a scatter on it. Why not? And notice now I can paint inside those letters. I can change my colors. I can change my brush type. So what I want you to do is I do want you to take time. I want you to have some fun in here. I could even use my gradient tool if I wanted to. I'm going to take my opacity down though so you can see my letters through. Let's do something obnoxious. So notice you can do a gradient in there. Okay, so go ahead and do that. Have a little fun, making sure that you have a variety of colors. I need you to have a ton of different colors inside your name. And then go ahead and deselect that. I'm going to show you how you can distort and smudge this. So I can grab my smudge tool, which is in here with the blur and sharpen tool. And if I grab my smudge tool, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. If I grab that smudge tool, notice I can smudge those letters. I can click and drag them. So go ahead and smudge some of your letters somewhere. I can also apply the liquify filter. So let's do that. Let's go to filter liquify. And that's another way, like I can smudge this way, I can pucker and bloat. So I'm altering my type. So go ahead and have some fun with that liquify filter. Click OK. Then one more thing we're going to do, we're going to stay in here. I can apply a stroke to it. I can go to Edit, Stroke. Pick a color, pick a size, don't care, and apply a stroke to your letters. Getting really weird now. And then the last thing I want you to do is I want you to go to Filter. We're going to go to Filter Gallery. And notice now you can apply a filter to your type. Now be careful, as these are type tool, it still has to read as a type, so be careful of your legibility, which means your ability to read the letters, especially when we are going to be working on the cover design here shortly. We still need to be able to read what it says, but these give you a lot more options in how you use the type tool artistically. When you're done, go ahead and turn all your other layers on and go to File, Save. And you are done. That is it. That's your very last lesson for the type tool, possibly your last lesson in Photoshop. Good job, guys.